Toltecalli, the house of the wannabe Toltec, and that would be me, Zarco Guerrero. Today I have a very special guest who just happens to be an East LA and Chicano musical historian, and his name is Mark Guerrero. Check him out, Mark. Thanks for being here.
How you doing? I never met a wannabe Toltec before.
No, that's me, bro, right here, the first one. There's a lot of us. There's a lot of us out
I
there.
think I'm one too.
You are wrong. And what I wanted to say also, he's also a singer, songwriter, and recording artist. So he has a lot of wonderful stories. We spent the day together, and we've just been having a blast. We're related. He's Mark Guerrero. I'm Zarco Guerrero. We're not related by family. We're not related by blood, but we are related by fate. And I'll tell you a little bit about that later. But Mark, I love this idea of East LA and a Chicano musical historian. What is that? What is happening with that right now and with you?
Well, it just so happened that I grew up I was a teenager in the 60s in East LA, where there was an incredible music boom that created national hit artists like Cannibal the Headhunters, the Blendells, the Premiers, the Midnighters, and then shortly thereafter, late 60s, El Chicano. You know, a huge, Los Lobos came out of that, I came out of that, El Chicano, Tierra. So it's this huge thing. There were hundreds of groups, tons of venues. So I was part of that, and I was very proud to be part of it. It was a wonderful musical scene. And so about 20 years ago, I just started documenting the history. I started interviewing different artists that were from that era. And that led to lectures at universities about it. It led to my podcast, which I have now, which I've done 43 episodes, interviewing East LA musicians and Chicano musicians, because I'm also a Chicano musician. And I feel that Chicano musicians don't get the publicity that other artists get. So I do all I can to promote the people and tell their stories and preserve their stories for future generations.
Right on. And you know that era of what we're now calling Chicano music was really a really special time in the musical history of this country.
Yeah, it made a contribution to the overall rock history.
You're right. It changed a generation. It became the soundtrack for many generations, and in some cases still is. I mean, these are what we now call the oldies. But these oldies, they're having a new life, wouldn't you say? And I think you're part of that.
Yeah, well, they live on, and each generation discovers them. And there's a lot of young people now that like 60s East LA and Chicano music, and they're going back to the Beatles and the Stones and Led Zeppelin and the Doors, and they're digging that music more than the current music. A lot of them.
That's true.
It's great stuff.
And you know what comes to mind is this whole idea to me of the word Chicano being erased and replaced with other terms, and how important it is to keep the term alive and what it represents. And what represents the word Chicano, the idea of Chicanismo, better than the music. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. And the art.
And the art, and it all goes hand in hand. The music was flourishing. The art from East LA, particularly some murals, the theater, Teatro Campesino. It was a whole movement.
It was a renaissance.
It was a renaissance, and it was a golden age.
That's what I call it.
Age of the Chicano. And you're chronicling.
It's a weird word.
Musically, and I know you've interviewed
Yes.
and performed with a lot of these great heroes of Chicano music.
Most of them, yeah. I started a website in 1998, and I started writing articles and interviewing people, and so I've had it for like 22 years. I've interviewed hundreds of artists, and if you go to my website, markguerrero.com, M-E-R-K, you'll find all these articles and videos and links to, you can spend days or weeks on that website. It's huge by now.
You know, I'm surprised. We spent the afternoon checking out some of his videos on YouTube, and I just can't believe the number of stages you performed on throughout the country, throughout the world, with some of the great legends of the Chicano musical movement. I mean, literally, as far as I know, practically everybody, because is you were there and you're still there.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a beautiful thing. I'd like to, commend you on that. And for keeping our musical legacy alive and flourishing. How can we find out more?
Well, just go to YouTube and type in my name and the videos will pop up. And there's a lot of different stuff. Me playing with different artists like Trini Lopez, my dad, Eric Burden, all kinds of people. Me playing in Liverpool at the Cavern Club. All kinds of stuff. It's kind of fun. And my podcast is at markguerrero.podbean.com. Podbean. Podbean.com. markguerrero.podbean.com. 43 episodes. I've interviewed the group War, Los Lobos, Tierra El Chicano, Chris Montez, Sonny Osuna, Renee, you name it. Mario. Yeah, and Chris Montez. And the old.
You wanna dance and ring
No, it was actually. Hey baby, won't you take a chance? Well, let's dance. Let's dance. Oh, that guy. That's Chris Montez.
That's Chris Montez. Hey, and guess what else? He happens to be the son of the legendary father of Chicano music, Lalo Guerrero. Hey.
I forgot. Oh, thanks, man.
We can't do that.
No, we can't leave him out. Father of Chicano music, right.
And you're doing some recording.
Oh, yes, just through fate. I didn't even organize this, but this wonderful orchestra called the Reckless Night Ensemble. Great musicians. And they've been backing me up on Lalo songs with original arrangements taken from the original records, time appropriate or whatever. And we've done a couple of shows, and we actually did a recording. I have a record coming out, a 4-song EP. I won't tell you the whole title of the record, but it's going to be Mark Guerrero Sings Lalo Guerrero. I do 4 of his songs with this great orchestra, and it's coming out in a couple of months on vinyl and CD. So I'm excited about that.
So check it out. Hey, man.
Check it out.
Mark,
Hey, man.
thank you, man. Yeah,
It's amazing we just met today,
That's
huh?
how we met today.
Hey, do the Chicano handshake.
We tried, but we
What is
forgot how to do
Oh,
it.
gee, I don't even know
I don't even know no more, see?
There you go.
We're losing it.
Not bad for a couple of geezers, rucos.
I was great friends with his father, Lalo, for many years. We had wonderful times together. That we met today, Mark and I.
Spent the whole day getting to know each
Spent the
other.
whole day doing crazy things, being crazy-ass musicians, and loving it. So muchas gracias, thank you, carnal. Hasta luego. Nos miramos.
See you later.
Hey baby, won't you take a chance? Say that you'll let me have this dance, well let's dance.